About Dragon Ball. Before I say anything, I want to say this. Dragon Ball has been one of the most impactful anime in history. It had influenced many great shows to come after it, and really set the status quo for shonen storytelling. Cause who knows, if Dragon Ball was never a thing, it is possible that One Piece or Naruto, for example, wouldn't even be a thing right now. Many grew up on the show, and in some way I left an impact on them, me included. For anyone wondering, I'm 16 and I've watched it growing up. I mean, not in chronological order because I watched it on TV, and they just did reruns. They didn't really care about the order or anything. But from memory, I can say that I watched Z, GT, etc. And I watched Dragon Ball Super as well when it was airing. So yeah, I also grew up with the series as many others have. And while I appreciate the impact it has had and the incredible influence it has had on anime culture, the series is pretty standard. But like nothing really stands out that much from a typical show. I don't know if it's because everything just seems godly when you're younger, but looking back at it now being older and watching a lot of other animes, it doesn't really stand out that much as the series itself. But besides it being as popular as it is, I mean the actual content of the series itself, the story and characters are all not that crazy good, which is why I wanted to make this video, to talk about why Dragon Ball isn't nearly as good as people remember. Before that though, remember to like and subscribe for future videos. Alright, first thing I want to touch on is characters in Dragon Ball. I think this is because of how they set a standard for shonen, so it makes sense, but they all seem pretty basic. Goku is probably the most vanilla character I can think of from a shonen show, and it makes sense. He's a character a lot of people get inspiration from, so it makes sense that it will make him seem simple. He's basically like a template, I guess you could say, that other people use to make their character. Not to say that it is a bad thing. Most are taking parts of him in some ways, but then build on it with their own styles. But because of that, it just makes him seem like a more simplistic character. He stays static with his drive to fight strong people so that he can get stronger himself. It's simple, but it does its job for the series. Even with the characters being on the simpler side, that isn't really the main issue here. A lot of series have simple characters, but they still can make it work. Something that really has a series take a heavy blow is the storytelling. Some arcs are decent, but others are great. We see some type of character development and change in their usual selves, but then by the end of it, they basically come out of it exactly the way they came in, besides a power up or two. And I don't mean that emotionally, but also literally. Lots of times characters die, and it really feels impactful to the story. Having a major character die is a huge loss to the cast. These moments are very touching and heartbreaking, but then the series just reversed all of that by having them pop a senzu bean or being revived by the Dragon Balls. The series has played this game of killing a character and then bringing them back way too many times. They made themselves lose credibility in storytelling. The first time Goku went Super Saiyan is probably one of the most memorable moments in the series, and the reason because of his transformation was because his best friend Krillin was killed by Frieza right in front of him. This moment is very heartbreaking, and many fans of the series were sad from his death, but later he's literally brought back and all the emotion, impact, and everything from that scene is negated, and basically gave Goku the power up for free. Usually whenever a character has a power up like this, there's a cause, and in this case the cause was Krillin's life, because that was what had caused him to actually power up. But with Krillin revived, it basically gives him it with no drawbacks, and with how many times this has happened to not just Krillin but with other characters as well, it's just disappointing. And because of this get out of jail free card that the characters are given, which honestly shouldn't even be a thing to begin with, fans are desensitized by the thought of death, and now almost all characters who will die will have no weight behind it, because why should the fans care if he dies, if he's just going to get revived again later down the road? This is what really annoys me about the series. Some moments in the story are actually pretty good, but they get cheapened by how they are basically able to bend the rules whenever they want, for as many times as they want, and have no consequences or anything for doing so. To put this into a better perspective, this would be like if after Gon had powered up in the Chimera Ant arc and sacrificed his power, right after he would just get his end back out of nowhere, and he will suffer no real drawback from it. And at this point in the story, getting the Dragon Balls is not really a hard task to do. Like at this point in the story, they treat it like some side quest, while going to go get groceries for dinner at this point. The story was cheap and no one can really take it seriously anymore. But at the end of the day, this doesn't change how Dragon Ball was able to shape many generations of shows. So while I don't really have an interest with the show, I am forever grateful for the things it was able to do for anime culture. It was the gateway for many people and has had a monumental influence, so it's more legendary for how influential it was, rather than the series' quality. My friend reads the Super manga and says it's pretty good, but he's a diehard Dragon Ball fan, so I'm not really sure, and I don't really plan on reading it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about Dragon Ball. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for future ones as well. Peace.